Good morning, and the day has finally arrived. We're ready to pour. We got all the forms set up. We got some extra bracing in here. We got the rebar in, the plastic down, everything tied off all the way down to the end. I'm not going to oil these forms because, and that may be a mistake. We're just going to break it off green after this concrete has set up enough. I did all the calculations and everything. I was going to rent a mixer and quickly decided that was not in the cards. I need about 2 yards. You typically overestimate by about 10%, so I ordered 2.5 yards. That would have been over 90 bags, which if you do 80-pound bags at that. So if you do the math on that, let's just say conservatively 90 bags times 80 pounds is 7,200 pounds. So that's not something I can haul in one trip in the back of the truck. So that would have been multiple trips to the Home Depot. And then I would have had to offload it. Normally that's not a big deal because of that guy. But right now that's not working. So I got to get around to fixing that some other time because I'm in the middle of this project. Hand offloading 90 bags or 7,200 pounds worth of concrete at a minimum was just not going to happen. Then you have the timeline of, this is 46 feet, 2 feet wide, renting a mixer big enough to mix 5 or 6 bags and get everything the way it should be, and then dump by yourself. It just wasn't happening. So I did the math, did the time, and came up with I'm spending about $150 to have a cement truck come up here and deliver a load. And to me, that's worth every penny because I can pour this whole thing in about 15 minutes. So with no mixing, I rented this little hydraulic buggy up there. It's going to make things a lot easier. It's a short enough distance, especially if he can come all the way up here on the driveway, that we could have probably used the wheelbarrow. That thing is so flimsy. I didn't want to overfill it and then have it basically fall apart on me in the middle of the job. That would have been a bad day. I was hoping he could have came out here around the side and just shot the chute through the wall, but cement trucks don't like to go off-road. And this is all pretty wet. It's been raining the past couple days, so he would have got back here and promptly got stuck, and I would have promptly got stuck with paying the wrecker bill to get him towed off my property. That wasn't gonna happen either. Hopefully he makes it all the way back here. That way I don't have to make long drawn out trips with the buggy back and forth, but I'm hoping that buggy holds about half a yard, so should be no more than 5 trips back and forth, and we can get it all that dumped in, screed-ed out, and hopefully smoothed out and looking good. So let's get busy. All right, I just made up a little screed. I'll put these 2 blocks on here to make sure it stays level as we kick it all the way back. So hopefully that'll make doing this by myself a little bit easier. And then for my concrete placer, if I was gonna do this for a living, I'd probably spend the 35 bucks and buy an aluminum one. But seeing how I'm probably only going to do this once, hopefully, I just took a little landscape break, and I probably didn't even have to pinch this over, but took a little 14 inch by 10 inch piece of mild steel, like 16 gauge, and just bent it over, and that way it's kind of clamped on there and it's not going to come off. So hopefully this will make raking out the concrete, at least getting it where it should go, a little bit easier. Waiting on a concrete truck now. Still waiting on a concrete truck. Waiting on the concrete truck. They called a little bit earlier this morning, and they were originally scheduled to be here at 10 a.m. And he called me about 8:30 and said, "We can send the truck now if you're ready." I said, "Yeah, I'm ready." Funny thing about doing this is you're never really ready. I scrambled to make that screed. I scrambled to make that little landscape rake, and now I'm just twiddling my thumbs until he shows up. And when he gets here, I'm probably gonna be running around like a madman, feeling like I'm running out of time the entire time. Concrete's here. All right, I gotta go. You know, normally professionals, people who are good at concrete, just fill the form up until it's full, and then they screed it off. But why do that when you can like overfill it and then pour concrete all over your existing concrete? Wouldn't that be much better? I think so. That's why I did it that way, in case you're wondering. So the truck got here a little bit early, not too early. I think around 9:30, 9:45 a.m. It only took about 30, 35 minutes to get all of the concrete in the forms. I ordered 2.5 yards, 3,000 PSI mix with fiber, in case any of you technical concrete guys are wondering. Got it all laid in, and then took our little rotary hammer and just kind of hit the forms on the edge. You can tap it with a hammer or a little palm sander or whatever, or you can do the right thing and buy a concrete vibratory tool or rent one, but I've already spent enough money renting stuff, so I didn't want to do that, and I've got something that vibrates pretty good. So I just go around every foot or so and hit the form real good. It just kind of vibrates all the concrete and fills in all the void, gets all the entrapped air out of it. So step one, get the concrete off the truck. I rented a little buggy. It only took about 5 trips, so I'm guessing 2.5 yards. That buggy will probably hold about a half a yard a trip. So came in here, spread it all out, take the concrete placer, get it as smooth as you can, try to get it as level to the form as you can, and maybe not overflow into your shop or overflow the forms. After that, you screed it, which is just a little 2x4, get it somewhat level, and then I take a mag float and just kind of initially trowel the surface. Okay, you can do it with a bull float. This job isn't big enough. It's only 24 inches wide. I didn't want to spend $100 on a bull float. Again, time is money, and I've spent enough of it on both the actual green stuff and then the stuff on your wrists. I just bought a little 18-inch mag trowel and just hand troweled it. After that, don't touch it. It's not going to be perfect, okay? The goal is to make it perfect before it dries, not to make it perfect on the first pass, because what you'll end up doing is you'll trap all the air in. If you smooth off the surface and then you trowel it completely smooth, you're not gonna get what they call bleed water. So initially when you put it in there, mag trowel it, and then wait. You're gonna start seeing water come up, and then that water is gonna evaporate. Basically, the concrete is collapsing on itself. All the little air bubbles are escaping, and all the excess water that's in the concrete is coming up to the surface and then evaporating. It's kind of humid today, so it's taking a while, which is good. We added a little bit of water in the mix when he got here because he came with it really stiff and kind of dry. And when you're working by yourself, it's, I mean, that's great if I had like 15 people, you know, pour it out in 10 minutes and smooth it out and screed it in 5 and all that stuff. But I'm by myself, so we wet it up a little bit to make it easier for me to work, and it's still much stiffer than you would probably mix up on your own with the bags. So once all the bleed water has evaporated, then you can go in and check it. And you just take your fingers and press into it and see how far you can kind of press into it. But you gotta wait till the bleed water is off the surface. If there is bleed water still sticking on the surface, don't touch it. You're trying too soon, you're just gonna create problems. If you come over here with a trowel, 1, you're not gonna be able to get smooth because it's still too soft. 2, you're gonna rake over all that nice cream on top of where that air is trying to escape from. And when you do that, you're gonna have substandard concrete. It's gonna have voids, air pockets, air entrapment. It's not something you want, so just leave it alone until all the bleed water has evaporated. That was a workout. Again, if you're wondering like, why fill the form up properly? Well, if you do that, as with most concrete jobs, there's just gonna be entirely too much time on your hands not doing anything. So I like to overfill the crap out of it, spill it all over the floor. That way I have something to do, you know, while I'm waiting on this concrete to bleed out. That gave me something to keep myself preoccupied, which is getting all this stuff up off the floor. What do you do with leftover concrete? You throw it away. If you recall, the whole reason we're doing this project is probably because somebody had some leftover concrete out of this slab that was poured when they built the shop. And then they decided to, I'm guessing, say, hey, we can form up something real quick. And they inadequately braced it, and it blew out the forms, and we were left with what we originally took out. And that's not what I want to do. So unless you have another project or patio or something formed up, braced up, ready to go and take the extra concrete, you throw it away, okay? It's not worth it. It's just not. Concrete's about 150 bucks a yard around here, so yeah, I hate wasting stuff, right? But if we just do some quick math, losing $100 of concrete is much more efficient than spending 3 weeks and a whole bunch of tool rental, concrete saw, time, and everything else to get rid of concrete that should have never been there in the first place. All right, so if you're forming this stuff up by yourself, it sucks. Get friends. I don't have any friends. I just have you guys. So none of you showed up to help with this. So I was left doing it by myself, but hopefully a bunch of you show up to watch it, like it, thumbs up it, comment on it, and ultimately subscribe to the channel, because I do a lot of fun stuff around the shop, and I'd like to bring you guys along for all the enjoyment.